Hey, and welcome, guys. Today we have the from Battlestar Galactica, the Colonial Viper. What now is called I think the Mark One. This is from Monogram. The box is copyrighted in 1978, so this is about 41 years old. If you follow my channel, you know that I like to build some of these old models as well as some of the new stuff. They both have their challenges, especially the older ones. I just enjoy going back and building these older kits. It's a lot of fun. And kind of look at how far we come in modeling. So with this one, let's just take a quick look at it. I've already opened it up. I'm not going to try to light this. There's no clear parts, not even on the canopy. The canopy is a solid piece. Let's see if I can find that in here. The canopy is just a solid piece. I suppose you could cut all that out. But I'm not going to try to do any of that. I'm not trying to cut these out. I'm just going to build it and paint it as best I can. I'm still kicking around the idea of modifying the body. Now I've already built a Viper. Now let's take a quick look at the Mobius 1/32 scale that I built. I think it's probably been a couple years now that I built this. And this is the Mobius 1/32 scale Mark 1 Viper. And it's attached to the base. The lighting's all there. I have the wiring stuff coming up through the landing gear, so it's kind of, you can't see the wiring coming up. I did I think a 4-part build on this a couple years ago if you want to check it out. This one actually has photo etch cockpit. It has a 6 LED lighting system with 2 colors. And I'm really proud of this one at the time, especially a couple of years ago. I thought this one came out really well. I was very proud of it. The only critique is I think the paint I used has sort of a mild beige color, and so I think with my Monogram kit I'm going to try to use a different color, maybe something a little bit more gray. I'll go ahead and light this up. As you can see, the engine's here, and I actually have blue. Let's see if I can take this off. Yeah, a blue and a white LED per engine, so you get kind of this two-tone engine effect. So pretty happy how all that came out. And of course the cockpit is a photo etch kit that's all lit. Again, just really happy with that one. So I'm not going to worry about trying to light this old Monogram kit. But like I said, still kick around the idea of maybe modifying the body. I've seen some variations that people have changed some things. I may do that. Another quick look is, this is actually one that had the firing missile projectile. I don't know if I'm going to incorporate that yet. The decals for 40 years old still look pretty good. You get some black decals to cover up your canopy and some of the orange stripes, but they look pretty good. But I still have, on the Mobius kit, they send you actually 2 versions of the striping, and I went with the narrower striping. This is the larger striping, which is similar to what's supplied on the Monogram kit. I don't know if these fall apart. I may try to use these. I'm not sure yet. And the only thing that I don't have is that center stripe that runs down the nose of the ship. So anyway, we're going to get to building that and see where it takes us. Like I said, I'm not sure which way. We may just build it straight up and try to give a good paint job and see how we can get it looking. Oh yeah, I failed to mention just the level of detail compared to the 2 kits. The Mobius version has the nice crisp panel lines and stuff like that. This has the raised details that are very mild. They're very difficult to even see. So definitely the Mobius kit is a far superior kit. This is a slightly shorter kit compared to the body section to the Mobius kit. This is slightly shorter, so this is probably somewhere along the lines of a 1/35 scale. I haven't looked it up yet, but much nicer detail on the Mobius kit. But we're going to see what we can do with it, and let's just get started. Alright, so I decided just to build it the way it comes without adding any kind or modifying the body too much. I did add in some panel lines. I kind of masked off this upper one, just not a lot, but just to give a little bit more detail. I put some masking tape in a couple of layers. I used this kind of hobby saw to kind of score along and give me it was a little bit easier to control this than just the scribing tool. But once I got the line kind of going, I used the scribing tool to make it a little deeper. So I added in those, added in the nose piece, and of course you can see where I'm trying to fill in the gaps here. And I'm going to leave off the toy firing missile. Just makes it look too much like a toy. And we're going to try and make it look nice. We have the drive section here. This is basically 4 pieces. You have kind of a side that has the lower wing attached in the bottom section, 2 sides, the bottom section, and the drive section here with the 3 engines. And it kind of glues together. What I did is kind of hold it together. I poured in some super glue or CA glue right there. Used some Insta-Set so it kind of lock it in position. I did that with all the sides, and then I pushed the centerpiece together, got it as close as I could, put a little, again, CA glue to hold it in, some Insta-Set, and then, so that made it real easy to kind of lock everything in place. And I went back with some modeling cement or plastic cement on the outside seams, just to make sure we got a nice bond there. Then you have this drive section that just kind of pushes in position. This is not glued in, but it's on there pretty tight. There's a few little gaps back in there. I'll probably just pour a little super glue and set it, and that way when we paint it'll cover up over that. So it's coming along. Pretty straightforward model, and we'll just move on to the next sections. All right, I had the ship mostly put together. As you can see, I've had the 2 sections. Got kind of the main body here. Has pretty much eliminated the seam line that was down the middle of the ship. I've had several coats of primer to kind of sand and fill that in. I'm glad I added in the panel lines right here because it lost a lot of the detail from sanding. But I think we can do a nice paint job and make it look good. I have the drive section, the wings, the guns all put together. I did prime over the intakes here, and the fans have been painted a kind of aluminum color and installed. I'm going to block this off so when I prime over the rest of it and paint it, I won't mess up that. So that's all painted inside of there. So basically this kind of fits in right in here. So we'll be gluing those 2 parts together, and then we'll start working on our paint, our base coat. We're going to prime all over it. Kind of debating if I'll probably just do a gray primer and then a light gray paint job on it. So we'll get together and put a primer coat on it. All right, have it primed up. Pretty happy with how it's looking. I think the seam lines have been taken care of pretty well. Let's take a quick look at it. It has a very basic display piece. This comes in 1 part. I've already put some gloss black on it. I may change that, I'm not sure yet. So I'm just ready to start moving into painting it, and I'm going to be painting it this kind of a light gray color all over. I put a little some pieces of cotton balls inside to protect those fans inside, the intake fans or whatever they are. And so let's get on putting on this base coat. All right, and here I have my base coat applied, and I just use this Dolphin Gray from Apple Barrel, and I just diluted it down with just some plain water, tap water. I just put it in a little cup, put some water in there, and keep stirring it until it's nice and dissolved, and get it down to like a milky consistency. You have to use it, it sprays on kind of light, so you have to do several coats, but I'm pretty pleased. It sprayed on pretty well, pretty happy with it. So now I need to, I'm going to mask off and paint over these areas, probably the engine nozzles, this section here, and the very tip is also kind of a dark color. So I'm going to mask off those sections, and I also added in just a clear finish on it, a clear varnish over it to protect that paint. And so we're going to add on the detail painting now. All right, have my base coat. I did some of my accent painting on the nose and the engine sections, a little bit of detail painting right there. As you can see, I've started putting on some of the decals. These are original decals. Right now they might be a little wrinkled because I put some microsol on it to help it dissolve in there, and it's usually just a reaction at first. So hopefully it'll settle down, be nice and smooth and blended in. I'm going to plan on trying to use all these original decals. These came off very nicely. Didn't have any problems. They didn't tear, and I got them on there pretty easily. And I'm going to say I am going to use these decals for the canopy, but I'm going to save that to the very last because I'm going to try to do something with that to make it look a little better. So I'm going to get all those decals. That's probably going to take a day or two to get them all on, let them set, and then I'll put another clear coat on top of all that, and then we'll get into the weathering. All right, as you can see here, I have the decals on. They actually, for as old as they were, they went on pretty good. Now I did put some microsol to help kind of dissolve them into the model, and I did get some wrinkling up. I had to take a paper towel and put some hot water on it and kind of press it in to kind of get those wrinkles out. I think we mostly got them done, and since I put a clear matte coat on it to kind of protect the decals because I'm moving the weathering and I don't want to all the weathering we're going to do. I'm still debating on what kind of wash I'm going to use. I'm going to do some sponge technique to do some shipping effects throughout the model, and but we're going to work on that, and maybe some detail painting such as the guns inside of here. We'll probably use some pastels, dry pastels, and some weathering kits to get all the scorch marks and things of that nature on there. So first thing, I'll probably do the chipping and start doing some washing on it. All right, well, here's my finished Monogram Colonial Viper, later to be known as the Mark I. Again, this kit's very old. I finished up the weathering. I did the decals. Now, I did have a mishap on my decals. I had put some masking tape over the tail section and wings. I was doing some airbrushing in here to darken it up. And as you can see, a little bit of the decal, when I removed the masking tape, just some sections came off. They're already kind of purposely chipped up with some, sponging effect. So it took a little bit more off. I actually did it on both sides. So, but it is what it is. I'm not going to try to repaint that. It's just going to have to be as, damage, weathering. So let me put that on the stand there. So it's not too terrible. I didn't take the paint off. It just removed a little bit of the decals. The decals, again, they went on pretty good, but I had some problems getting them leveled off. The last part I finished up was putting on the window decals. They went on pretty good. I did, however, lose this little section on the very top. I must have cut it away and not realized that it was a decal. I don't know. So I just took a Sharpie to kind of get it in there, and then I filled it in with a little of this Pentaline accent color, this black Pentaline accent color, because it kind of usually has kind of a glossy look when you put it on. And I put that in there, and it's actually blends in pretty nicely. It's hard to tell that that's any different than the decals. Anyway, back to the weathering. Like I said, I had my airbrush. I darkened it some in there. Then I brushed in kind of a rust color in here, in this middle section of the engines. I took some Sharpies to do some these markers, a little bit of this brass. I did this silver Sharpie for this tubing. I did a little bit of dry brushing, see some of the silver accents. Took some Tamiya weathering kits to kind of darken up different areas. I added in kind of some drawn in panel lines, because that's probably one of the lesser qualities of this compared to the Mobius kit is the lack of detail, especially in this front section right here. So a little bit of painting up here, but overall I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it, despite its age, it's still a pretty nice model, and turned out pretty well. There's a look at the back. Again, there's no clear parts with this. A bit of the bottom section, I probably could do a little bit more weathering on the bottom. So anyway, let's take a quick look and side-by-side comparison of this and the Mobius kit. All right, and here you can see them side by side, next with the Mobius, the 1/32 scale. Now these ships are very similar in size. I measured them. The Monogram kit is about a ½ inch shorter, and that really is the nose section. I measured the nose section. The drive section is almost exactly the same. The wings on a Monogram are a little bit smaller than the Mobius one, but it's this nose section right here. This is almost a ½ inch longer. You can probably tell by just looking at it. They're virtually the same width, so just a little bit of difference in that in the particular kits is the length of the nose section. The guns are a little bit bigger on the Mobius kit. The Mobius kit is a lot more detailed. You have a lot of Nice detailing in the wings, the drive section, especially in the nose section, where I actually had to scribe in a few lines in here. There are some raised details in the Monogram kit. They're hard to see, especially when you have to, on the top where I had to sand off the seam line that ran down the middle. They virtually disappeared. So just take a look at that. Plus, with the Mobius kit, you do get the clear canopy, you get a pilot and the interior. Now on this one, I've added in a photo etch kit. There's a 4-part build series I did a couple years ago. If you want to look at my previous videos of the entire build. Comes with clear pieces for the engines. As you can see, I have it lit here with some flickering LEDs. Again, that's on my build of the Mobius kit if you want to see how I lit that. And see if I can kind of get you in there a little bit to see some of the photo etch lighting on the cockpit. So again, if you're looking for a much more accurate, probably, or more detailed kit, definitely way to go. Price-wise, it's hard to say. I found this one pretty cheap. These kits, these old Monogram kits, can be quite expensive, even more expensive than the Mobius kits. This depends on when you're getting it and when you've watched this video. But I'm glad to have this. It's a nice kit. It was a nice throwback. It was a fairly simple build. The biggest problem you'll have is that seam that runs down the middle of the fuselage. But other than that, very similar type builds as far as how they were designed. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. Until next time, everybody have a good one.